I think everything's working. You were live. Very good. Preview is delayed, but I think everything should be showing up. I don't like how it says we're live and it shows something from earlier, but it's fine. Everything looks to be working accordingly. Those who are watching the stream, please share and like. That would be appreciated, and let me know if everything is sounding okay, looking okay. But for those who are new here, this is the weekly Sunday night podcast on my channel, on Just Restart. I am joined by Brandon from WhataboutNintendo. His channel is also linked in the description below. And this is a Nintendo discussion podcast where we talk about all things Nintendo. Usually focus on the news of the week, but of course, anything else around Nintendo is also up for discussion and debate. If you guys have anything you want to bring it up in the chat. We will try and talk about, especially if you add us. This time we're going to be talking about, there's a few different things. We're going to be talking about how Nintendo is actually going to be sort of moving away from mobile gaming. We got some reports suggesting that. We'll be talking about how there may still be some hope for a good lineup this year, because apparently, even now, we got news of this, but in the previous investors meeting, like around March, and we talked about on the channel how Nintendo said in their statements to investors that they still plan to release their planned 2020 games despite the pandemic, but they said that that's subject to change. We've got a similar statement just recently as well, so the fact that we've been months ahead, that bodes well. We'll talk about that. We're also going to be talking about Min Min now being revealed for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate S Challenger Pack 6, and that's pretty exciting. So we're going to be getting into that, and she's coming out tomorrow, and that's all super cool. But we also got the controversial announcement for Pokemon Unite, so we'll be getting into that as well. And you guys may not realize it, but we are already like pretty much halfway through the year. We are entering July.
It's crazy.
And the big Nintendo game for July is Paper Mario: The Origami King. And I believe there may be a video coming out about this from me on Tuesday. We'll see, but that's what I'm thinking right now. We're talking about what's to come after Paper Mario, because we don't have any announcements for August yet. No major games. But we do know about No More Heroes 3, which isn't being published by Nintendo, but we actually got footage, actual gameplay of the game this past week, although it was hidden behind Suda 51, sort of. So we're talking about all that today, and whatever else you guys want to talk about. I think that's gonna cover probably at least an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours of discussion, perhaps more. Before we jump into things, Brandon, how about you tell me how you doing, bud? What's new with you? I know you were telling me that, you know, you're working on getting a light and stuff and job searching.
Yeah, I'm searching for jobs, you know, how it is, 2020, everything's crazy, not a lot of things are going to plan, you know. It's like I make a plan, I'm like, okay, this seems doable, and then 20,000 roadblocks appear. So it's been slow going, but I'm in that stage where I'm like, you know what, let's just get up, let's just get something done. And that's what I've been doing. You know, I've been trying to get my license. I took the test that I need to take. Now I just gotta actually get a vehicle and a job, and then I'm gonna schedule an appointment, get my license. That's gonna open up a lot more stuff for me. So yeah, just generally life, you know, it's how you'd expect. It's 2020. It's not going the best, but I'm optimistic I can make it work. I like how you said that it's crazy how it's already halfway through the year. And in terms of gaming, that is very much the case. Like, it's crazy because, like, not many games have been released, but we're already halfway through the year. But in terms of, like, real world, I feel like I've lived, like, 3 or 4 years just in this last 6 months.
A lot has happened.
It's been crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the gaming sphere, though, it's been slow going. Especially if you're a Nintendo fan. PlayStation and Xbox, you know, they've been doing some stuff, but Nintendo, they've been silent so far.
They have.
And I think, you know, it's probably gotta change pretty soon here. You know, I mean, we're gonna get into it further in the discussion, but if they're gonna announce holiday games, they gotta announce them soon, especially if they're big caliber, like, you know, we're hoping Breath of the Wild, you know, they're not gonna announce that 2 months before the game comes out. This is a Zelda game. They always announce those earlier than, you know, than other games, so it's just crazy, you know. You don't ever know what to expect because, you know, with the virus and everything, it's really throwing everything off.
Yeah, I mean, a lot has been thrown off. You're absolutely right. This year has been nuts. Before we jump into the gaming discussion, I'll also tell you guys a little bit about myself personally. I got to see my dad for Father's Day. Don't worry, everyone was mostly quarantined, so the people that I saw were quarantined. I'm keeping that.
Right.
The people I see still to a minimum, and wearing masks when we are out in public and all things of that nature. But I got to see my family. It's been a couple years, so that was really good for me. You guys may have noticed I still came out with videos throughout the week. I brought my rig, and that's why we started a little bit late today, just because I got back in last night.
About that, actually.
Yeah?
Yeah. Because it's hard bringing a rig. I mean, I've done it before, just like when I went to North Carolina for 3 weeks. And I had to bring my rig. God, it's a pain in the ass. So I'm like, yeah, good on you for actually doing that, getting videos out. It's tough.
It was tough. I mean, it's good that I like making videos, so it wasn't like torture. But there is things to be done. I got back in last night. I literally got the setup all together this last hour right now because I was recovering from sleep because it was a road trip we did. Yeah, that challenging stuff. But this past week was interesting for sure, right? We got the Smash reveal, we got the Pokemon Presents, which I now know why that it was its own separate presentation. It wasn't for a mainline game, which in hindsight makes sense. I mean, we talked about it even before that happened because I was like, hey guys, this is weird. The Crown Tundra DLC is still coming out this year. If they were to announce a mainline game, I really doubt it's coming out this year. So I was thinking that they maybe were going to announce a mainline game, but it would have to come out later, early next year. But it's looking like they saved the Presents not for a mainline game, which is what would have made sense, but actually for something else that they probably were paid off from a bigger Chinese developer. So
it makes sense. It was just it was definitely something that was, I mean, I don't want to say unpredictable because somebody probably predicted it.
Yeah, I mean the evidence was out there.
Yeah, it's just a lot of things that tie back to things that happened and statements that were made a long time ago that never, they just kind of broke in the back burner and we just kind of overlooked them completely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, there was evidence out there, but it really took us, it really blindsided us. I have to say, I was not expecting that.
Well, I mean, part of the problem is that I think that Pokemon Company might actually still be building up towards potentially a Let's Go reveal, because no matter how you spin it, they definitely 100% in the past have had a lot of merchandising and advertising and plushies in different presentations and shots suggesting releases for future mainline Pokemon games. Just look at the history. If you look at my Let's Go video, I showed literal footage of Masuda's Twitter page, months of him showing Pikachu and Eevee all throughout, and that was all in the months preceding the announcement for Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. Now, we'll have to sort of wait and see how things pan out here, but that Pokemon Presents were the first one, the good one, where we got more information on the DLC and Pokemon Snap, that had the background with mostly Generation 2 Pokemon. I do think there's a chance, a good one, that could be a sign for what's to come, but it wasn't a sign for what was to come in the next Present, which is where a lot of people sort of jumped the gun on, and instead we were all disappointed by the announcement. And apparently it's the most disliked video of all time. So I guess we're now in the Pokemon Unite discussion, but I want to quickly check in with the chat, and then we'll jump straight into this Pokemon Unite conversation here. Let's see here. Got a couple super chats. I see other people in here. Emery, thank you so much for super chat. Emery says, I came here to promote BoJack Horseman. Also, Min Min is cool, I guess. You guess? You only guess. Well, she's coming out tomorrow, so maybe your tune will change then. We'll see.
I actually wasn't sure exactly when she was coming out, so that's nice.
Yeah, tomorrow. It's happening. Mark Jacobs, also with the super chat. Thank you very much. Hey guys, long time no see. Long time no see. How you doing? So, but checking in with the chat here. Isaiah, hello. Pacheeks, howdy. Super Chris, what's up? Captain Rex, hello there. I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. Is there a problem? No big problems. Ryu Brian, one of my favorite backgrounds music. Yes, I have the Torvis Bog music from Metroid Prime 2 Echoes playing in the background for this podcast. It is, I think it's very good background ambient sound for
I
for
don't
quality discussion.
recognize that particular song off the top of my head because I'm more, I know more about Metroid Prime 1, but it's Metroid Prime, so it's probably great music.
Yes, yeah, I enjoy it very, very much. Ryu Brian, I did want a Johto Remake 2.0 though. Heart Gold Soul Silver is great. I would like a Sinnoh remake or more Pokémon Tournament stuff or a new Pokemon Conquest. All of those things would be fantastic. I think some of those things could come down the road for sure. It's really just kind of a matter of when. I think Sinnoh remakes could still be in the cards. I think Let's Go Johto could still be in the cards. We're gonna get into it, but I really just think it's a matter of when. As for Pokémon Tournament, like it's a pretty good game. I think they should have a sequel for that. It would probably do well. Range Walther, hello.
Probably would.
You're going to intern in Japan this summer, but COVID prevented that.
Oh.
Yeah.
You were going to. Ah, that sucks.
But it actually reminds me of another announcement we got recently this week. The Nintendo Park in Japan, the Universal Park, had that opening has been postponed as expected. We got news of that, which is
I mean, it's pretty
sad,
obvious. We can see that it's not finished.
Right. But it's interesting for me because I think back to a year ago or even a couple years ago when I knew that they were gonna open the park around this time along with the Olympics. I thought, man, how cool would it be to plan a trip to Japan and go to the Olympics and also go to the Nintendo Universal Park. Like, first of all, Japan is awesome on its own, but the Olympics, which is also awesome, and then the Nintendo Park, each one of those is good enough for its own vacation. But getting all three together would just be
the best vacation.
Amazing.
The vacation of a century.
And I am sure someone somewhere, or many people probably plans a similar type of vacation, and obviously those plans probably fell through. But I'm sure at some point things will come back together and we will have those options again. Moving on, though, let me catch up with the chat here. Emery's asking, thank you for the super chat. What do you use to record this podcast? We use OBS. I just open broadcast software. It works. That's pretty much it. We do the video chat on Discord though, so it's a combination of Discord and OBS.
I'm curious. Are you using the Streamlabs OBS or the normal OBS? When I was streaming, I definitely liked the Streamlabs one.
I am not using the browser one. I am using Open Broadcast Software Studio.
Okay. Well, the Streamlabs OBS has an application version.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm not using the Streamlabs variant. No.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Although I guess that does present some options as well as like putting stuff on the stream and things like that.
I definitely found it to be more convenient to change things up. They had more options.
Yeah. I'm sure you've noticed. I try to keep it minimalist. Like ever since we're no longer able to use like the Google Hangout, we've had to sort of stick with these black bars. I've seen some people like put like graphics on the black bars. Maybe we could do that, but I mean, as long as it's visible and it works.
Right.
Let's see here. Jake Miller. Good hype event for Pokemon Let's Go Johto would be offering a mystery gift that is a shiny Suicune and Sword and Shield. Ooh, shiny Suicune would be really cool. That's a neat idea. I would like to see something like that. Emery, I bought the Fires Pass 2, so I don't have to go out of the way to buy every character as more of them come out. I also bought Fires Pass 2, and I'm going to play with Min Min tomorrow when I get a chance.
I have not bought it yet, unfortunately.
I didn't buy it until
buy it as soon
today,
as I can.
So, yeah.
Right. I do plan on buying it as soon as possible, hopefully for the next few weeks, but I have not gotten it yet.
Hello there, podcast.
How much is the second one? Just curious.
$30.
$30. Okay.
Blake Landry, do you think the Super Mario remasters are coming this year? Great question.
Good question.
I think they are coming out this year. My bet is that they will come out in September for Mario's 35th anniversary, because I think the big idea with these Mario remasters is that it's supposed to sort of it's all about celebrating Mario. So September is the actual anniversary month. And given that Paper Mario The Origami King is coming out in July, September seems about the right time. But obviously, we haven't gotten the announcement yet, so it probably should be coming fairly soon if that's going to happen.
Yeah.
So let me check in here. Mark Jacobs. God, Pokemon was such an overlooked game. It is such an awesome game. Caption Rex, I see, added me. What do you think about the new Mii costume? Are you talking about... You're talking about the ones announced in the presentation? Yeah, that was cool. In my video, I assumed that music was coming with Vault Boy, but there doesn't seem to be any music coming with it from anything there, which I thought was weird.
Surprising.
Yeah, I thought the music...
They're not really doing a lot with Bethesda right now.
No, it's possible that those Bethesda talks were purely for Vault Boy Mii costume. I'm hoping more, but that might be it. That could be the extent of those talks.
It's just really surprising to me, because I feel like Bethesda and Nintendo have a really good relationship right now. So, like, all the Bethesda games for this generation are on the Switch, pretty much, except Fallout.
Right, but also
that's why Vault Boy. No, we don't even have Fallout on the Switch. It's so strange.
Yeah. Maybe there could be a Fallout coming out soon. Who knows?
Maybe.
I think it's possible for sure.
We do have Outer Worlds, which is like Fallout. It's not made by the same company.
Yeah. Could be. So, but let's jump back into... We were talking about Pokemon Unite. I know, we've been all over the place here. But Pokemon Unite...
As we always do.
As we always do. Nothing really different. Pokemon Unite... I have mixed feelings about this. Because I think... if this was just a game... Like, if this concept of a game... I have no problem with the concept of Pokemon League of Legends. I think that's a fine idea. I think this should have been something that should have been perhaps like in the first presentation. I don't think there was a need for another one, but this is coming from Tencent, right? And they're like a big Chinese developer company, and I've heard different people bring up...
They're one of the largest mobile gaming companies in the world.
Right, and I think some people don't like the company. There's been some people who've suggested that the company is not the most ethically sound company. I don't really know anything about that.
I have heard some suggestions, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, so I can't speak on it, but I've heard a lot of people bring that up. I don't really know. But like, just the concept of the game itself, I think it's fine. I don't think it needed its own presentation. I think what happened was that this big company paid Pokemon Company to have their own separate individual thing. I do think there's a lot of potential for this, though. Like, League of Legends is one of the largest esports there is. So you take Pokemon, which already has like that esport potential with the mainline games and the card games, and well, it's not esport. You understand? There's a lot of competitive games and tournaments around Pokemon. And then you take the League of Legends style and try and market it as like a big esport thing. I think there's potential there. I don't know if it'll pan out. If it does, cool. If it doesn't, fine too.
Right.
If anything, hopefully it brings more awareness to the mainline Pokemon games as an esport, because I think there's a lot more potential there. But I also think that if that were to like really, if we were to get, I guess it's challenging for a console game to get to like a level like League of Legends, because League of Legends is available on PC and it's everywhere. There's a much larger audience there.
PC, mobile, and everything like that.
It's much harder to get something like that going for something that's exclusive to one system. There's just way less people involved there, so it's harder to get a larger tournament like that. But I do hope that someday Smash and Pokemon, that they can become even bigger, and the community, the whole industry around those games as esports can become large enough where there's already people who try and make that like their career, but it'd be awesome if that's to an even greater extent, where there's even more advertising and even bigger game players out there, and even larger scale tournaments with a lot more quality with the presentations and the broadcasts. There's so much potential there. I think it'd be really cool. Like, just think about, as a Pokemon fan, if you've watched the anime or if you've played the games, it's all about like becoming the best, and there's this giant tournament or Elite Four, and at least in the anime there's a whole, it's almost like the Olympics, right? Or a big tournament, or like a giant soccer bowl or something like that. Imagine if Pokemon could actually get like that in real life, but for the video game. Like, I think there is that potential someday, but obviously there's a lot of like steps in between that need to be made. The mainline games need to have a better production value. The people behind organizing the actual tournaments need to do an even better job. I think they need to be more inviting to a larger audience. And obviously, sales need to get to an even higher level for Pokemon, which is challenging, but that's also partly on Nintendo for expanding things. I think they're heading in the right direction, but nevertheless, it's challenging because Pokemon is just on Nintendo. It's not like League of Legends or Fortnite, which is available basically everywhere.
I think the biggest potential I see for this game is its Chinese audience, because obviously, even though there's been steps made to bring the Nintendo Switch and its games to China, it's super slow going. But Tencent is a monster in China. So it being available on phones opens it up for a huge audience for them. So I can definitely see, as far as, monetary and business value here, there's huge potential for that.
Absolutely. I mean, there is potential there. We'll see, though. People might boycott it.
I think people here might boycott it. I think the Chinese audience might be very accepting of it, actually. Especially since they don't get a lot. They kind of take whatever they can get.
Yeah, it could be something cool. I'll have to take the wait and see approach, obviously. But
the main complaints I've seen so far are that people just haven't seen a lot of content in the game. Which I'm not sure if that's fair, because we haven't seen a lot of the game in general. But a lot of people are making a lot of assumptions about how big the game is, which, I mean, I don't know how big or how many Pokemon are in the game or how extensive it's going to be. Like, I have no idea. But I'm also at the same time not assuming the worst here. So I'm also, as you're saying, taking that wait and see approach, because I could definitely see this going either way, though Tencent usually goes pretty deep in with their mobile games. So I'd be very surprised if it's as limited as some of the more pessimistic people are saying it's going to be.
Yeah.
But I have hope for it. I'm not saying it's going to be amazing, but I'm saying that Tencent has a good history of making decent mobile games, so.
Yeah, I'm not into mobile games that much.
No.
That's just kind of just not into it. I feel like this would be a great time to sort of segue into how Nintendo is moving away from mobile games. We've got news of that from Bloomberg. Just that during the whole pandemic situation, basically, they did not get the kind of numbers they've expected to get. They've been kind of trending downwards, and they're just sort of thinking that they're going to focus their efforts elsewhere, which I'm okay with. And for the record, for some people say, oh, but look, Pokemon has mobile games coming, but here's the thing. Yes, Nintendo has a stake in Pokemon. Yes, the mainline Pokemon games are always going to be on Nintendo as far as things stand now, and probably for a long time moving forward. But there are still things they do outside of Nintendo. So Pokemon Company kind of operates on its own, and that's why you're going to see things like Pokemon Unite, for example. Things like that will still be mobile games. So even if Nintendo has their own studios, that will probably, it seems like from what the news we're getting, that they're going to move away. You're still going to get like some Pokemon mobile games and things of that nature. And it doesn't mean Nintendo will 100% pull away. There may be some other things, but definitely it's like not going to be their focus anymore. And for me, not a big deal. Don't care. Actually, this might be a good thing, because maybe they could invest those resources elsewhere. And I am all for that. Because I gotta be real with you guys, while there have been some mobile games from Nintendo, and like Dragalia Lost, for example, or Fire Emblem Heroes?
Yeah.
Like, those games were pretty fun. I'm not gonna say they weren't fun. I liked Mario Run. I think these games were cool, but I never stuck with any of them. It's just not my cup of tea. When I'm playing, I do play games on my phone, but they're usually like simple puzzle games that I can just do with one hand, not really think about. And it's not meant for I don't use it for any sort of big immersive experience or anything of that nature. So when it comes to Nintendo and them making awesome games, they could try and make awesome mobile games, but at the end of the day, it's still a mobile game. It's not something I really care about.
In my opinion, I think they went about mobile strategy completely the wrong way. They tried to scale down their big games and their big IPs to the mobile platform, which really just ended up having like hollow shell versions of their main games, Where what I think they should have done is put their smaller projects on phones. Like games like Brain Age, games like that would have been way better. Like a Brain Age on your phone would have been perfect. That's definitely the kind of game I would love to play on my phone.
100% agree.
Something like Phoenix Wright or like something like that type of game. I think would be great for phones. I mean, they've done that before with those types of games on phones. I think those smaller projects could be really good. Having Tetris 99 work on your phone as well would be epic. There's just games that I think smaller projects that Nintendo have, WarioWare might be great on cell phones, but they didn't do that. They tried to scale down their big IPs, which just really just ended up being just, underwhelming versions of the games you already can play on your Nintendo Switch, which I get the whole point of that was to push people towards home consoles, but at the same time, you really want to also have a thriving mobile community here, which they didn't have. And they really just... Mario Kart Tour is horrible. Like, I have to say, it's just not good at all. It is by far the worst game that they have made for mobile platforms. It's horrendous. Its monetary system is terrible, and it just really flopped completely because I don't think that's a good direction for them to go in. I think that I actually wouldn't mind if they sticked with mobile and did put their smaller projects on there, because I would prefer to play games like Brain Age on my phone.
I really
don't want to pull out my Nintendo
now.
Switch.
Yeah.
Right. I don't want to pull out my Nintendo Switch to play Brain Age. I want to just be able to pull out my phone. Like, I get that the Switch is more convenient than the console, but it's definitely nowhere near as convenient as your cell phone. Like, it's just not.
I agree.
Let's be honest here. It's
I
not
like this idea.
Yeah. So at one point, in one sense, I definitely agree. Like, yeah, they should probably move away from mobile in the way that they're doing now. I don't agree that they should just drop mobile completely, because I think there is potential with their smaller IPs to do something that's actually good and that even Nintendo fans, like hardcore fans, could get into.
So I think maybe one of the reasons why we haven't seen something like Brain Age yet is because they did focus on their bigger IP, because given that they're bigger IP, there's a lot more potential sales-wise for that. So I think that's maybe why they went for those other things like Mario Kart Tour and Mario Run and Fire Emblem Heroes, things like that people are known.
Fire Emblem Heroes is by far, and I mean, even beyond just how much money it made, it was by far the best mobile game. It was the one that played the best. It didn't feel as dumbed down as the other games. Obviously, it's no Fire Emblem Three Houses, but it's a strategy game on your phone. Those work really well. So I really liked the direction they were going with Fire Emblem Heroes, and then they just didn't really... Nothing else after that was good. It just wasn't. Animal Crossing Pocket Camp was okay at best, and even as an Animal Crossing fan, it didn't really hold me over to Animal Crossing New Horizons at all. Like, I played that game for like a few weeks, and I was like barely even wanting to play it the entire time. So yeah, I agree. Like, their mobile aspect, I can definitely see why they're dropping it, because I don't think the direction they went was a good one. I see what they were going for, and in some ways it paid off, but as far as making good mobile experiences, they didn't really do that. They made good marketing experiences. They definitely did that. Yeah. I can say that 100%. Yeah. They did great marketing. But as far as making good games, they didn't do that. And I feel like that's what Nintendo usually does. And I feel like they tried something different. I feel like they tried something that, honestly, this feels more like something EA would have done than Nintendo. Especially Mario Kart Tour. That feels like an EA move through and through. It just doesn't feel like they really had the spirit of Nintendo with these mobile games.
Yeah, I think there was a certain level of quality that was there. It just wasn't. I guess as someone who doesn't really care for mobile games that much, like I don't need anything greatly sophisticated for mobile games. I just don't. Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I wish they focused on smaller IP ideas that would work a little bit better. A lot of their ideas that they had for the DS would have translated really well into phone games. You said Brain Age, and Ten Dogs is another one I think would have been a good idea to have there.
Ten Dogs would be amazing on phones. God.
So things like that would have worked really well. Hey, what if they had like a Metroid Prime remastered pinball, like Metroid Prime Pinball? Remastered on phone. That would have been cool. Little things like that, I think, would have been nice.
Like spin-off Kirby games would work really well. Like Kirby Golf and Kirby Pin. I think there's even a Kirby Pinball. There's a lot of different Kirby, just weird.
And there's a whole bunch of Pokemon spin-offs games, and they're all spin-offs, and they work.
Yeah, they work great.
Yeah. I agree. I think they definitely needed a different approach, and it would have worked out better, and there could have been better experiences for us. I love that you brought up Brain Age, because that would have been perfect for mobile. Perfect.
Yeah, I think their strategy was really, really good short term, but it wasn't something that was gonna last long term.
Right. Yeah. So let's check in with the chat real quick, and then let's move on. Unless there's anything else you want to add, Brandon.
No, I'm good.
Okay. Cool. I don't know if Yeah. Let's see. The Go 55 added me. I think Vault Boy deconfirmed Doom Guy. I don't think there's any hard deconfirmations from a Mii costume.
Yeah, I don't.
Especially when it's not of the same character. Yeah. But I'll also give you that was a Bethesda Mii costume. Typically, when you get like third-party Mii costumes, you would expect those to come alongside a character from that company. But if you get it separate, it could perhaps suggest that there isn't any big plans for that company to get a character. Because let's say we do get Doom Guy, what kind of Mii costumes are we going to get then? You would think Vault Boy would then make sense, right? But maybe if there are no big plans, perhaps that could be the case. So I think they could still do it, and it could be other Mii costumes. They don't all have to be Bethesda Mii costumes, like all the other Mii costumes. Like if you look at the different characters, we get Mii costumes that they aren't necessarily related or from the same company. So it could still work out that we get something like Doom Guy down the road. But given that we had that interview a few months ago where they said there were no plans to have Doom Guy in, and that wasn't really a part of the talks between Nintendo and Bethesda, and we just got this Vault Boy thing now, I do think that I am not like all in on this character. Like for me, the characters that I'm thinking that are third party that have a big shot to get in are Rayman and Crash. Like those are the two that are at the top of my list in terms of big third party characters to make it in. There's the Doom guys, the Soras, those are in the cards. I've mentioned them in videos, but my top two are those, especially now that we know their spirits do not deconfirm. So Rayman being a spirit, Rayman having that long history of being requested to be in Smash Brothers, and considering the relationship between Nintendo and Ubisoft, is just kind of a head scratcher that he isn't in already. I think maybe now there's a good opportunity. It's
crazy that there's no Ubisoft rep.
Yeah, and
yeah. I like that you bring up that spirits don't deconfirm, because I feel validated on that video I made so long ago. They got so much hate because I was like, guys, I don't think spirits deconfirm characters, and oh my gosh, that was the most one of my most controversial videos, on top of the other validated Smash video, and all my most controversial videos are all Smash videos. It's crazy. The other one would be that I didn't think Steve was gonna be in Smash, which he didn't.
Not yet.
So I'm 2 for 2 on my most controversial videos being right. Take that, Smash community. What are those thumbs down doing for you now? Nothing. You look silly.
Yeah.
But it definitely opens a lot of doors, which is exciting. But at the same time, it could be. I can definitely see this being a one-off. Is people doing fireworks? Oh my gosh, there.
Probably.
Anyways,
looks
this
like
could be a one-off.
Yeah.
Damn. I guess it is close to July 4th, but God, that distracted me so much.
That's okay.
Anyways, what I was saying is I could see it being a one-off where, Min makes it in, and that's the one spirit to character, upgrade that we get. I could see that, but at the same time, there is more possibilities open now.
Yeah, for sure. It could be a one-off, absolutely. It doesn't mean every single spirit that's in the game or that all the rest of the characters are going to be spirits, But it just goes to show you that there isn't any rule holding that back. And I would like to see more. And it does kind of feel like, if you look at the different characters that have come out, you know, throughout Smash Ultimate, a lot of them have been characters that have broken down these barriers that people sort of assumed there were for characters to make it in. King K. Rool, oh, he's too old, he's not relevant enough anymore. Ridley, he's too big. Wrong, right? Look at Terry Bogard. His franchise is an old franchise. Doesn't matter. Joker, he seemed like the kind of character that doesn't have any big, like, doesn't have any sort of big influence on Nintendo.
Not a presence at all on
Nintendo,
it. So.
Yeah. Those are things that were unexpected. Piranha Plant was just kind of like out of nowhere.
Not a main character at all in its game. Nope. It's just an enemy. It is a random enemy.
Yeah. People didn't think Byleth would make sense. And yeah, but they added Byleth anyway. And of course now we have
Byleth was 2 rules, just that nobody thought there was going to be another Fire Emblem character, and nobody thought there was going to be a first-party character.
Yeah, that's true. They broke the first-party character rule, too. That's right. Yeah. And then with Min Min, it's another first-party character, and it's not necessarily the main character for ARMS. So there's that, and Min Min was a spirit. So, I mean, what's next, right? Like, there's Mii costumes. So there's that possibility. Although you can make the argument that with King K. Rool, he was a Mii costume in Smash 4, so like that was somewhat broken, but people might make the argument that with a new game that doesn't really count. Point is, we've seen different like rules be broken, so I wouldn't be shocked if Sakurai is like, hey, you want to know what the next one is? Mii costume rule. Broken. Rex and Pyra.
I would love it if an assist try. Yeah, Rex and Pyra would obviously be my first choice, but as far as like crazy rule breaking, I feel like assist trophy is the one that people are like 100% on. Like, that cannot happen, and I would love to see that be proven wrong.
I think it could have gone in the direction of Springman potentially. Didn't, but you know,
I think Springman. I mean, we were talking about the other.
I don't think they would.
Last week we didn't think Springman as a single character made the most sense.
Right. But we thought maybe as a compilation character. But I think the point is that I think it could have been Springman. You know, like, I think that was possible. Like, it wasn't like Sakura was like, no, Springman can't have him because it's an assist trophy. I don't think that was their thinking. I think their thinking was, hey, what would be a great character to add in that would be really fun? Oh, I really like Min Min. I really like Ninjara. Oh, the ARMS team wants Min Min. Okay, let's put in Min Min. She's great. She has a lot of options for
Min Min is the most popular one.
Right. Yeah. And that's why they did it. They didn't do it because no other character made sense. It was just because Min Min made a lot of sense. And that's really it. So I don't think that assist trophies can't happen, but we haven't had it. I also will say that if that assist trophy is already in there, there's already some level of representation there. They already made that decision to have them as just an assist trophy for whatever reason. So it's hard for them to make it again. Like, I would love, for example, love it if Isaac from Golden Sun was upgraded to a playable character. But why would they do that? Like, what reason is there?
It's just trophies have a lot less reason to be upgraded. Mii costumes, no, it depends on the type of Mii costume. Lately, they've been doing some Mii costumes that are very similar to how, you know, the character would actually be. So I don't think there's really as much reason. I feel like those are like on level with these trophies. For like, why would you make that into a character? But Mii costumes like Rex and Pyra, they're not really tailored to be like Rex and Pyra at all. They just look like them.
Yeah.
So it's, I definitely agree with you that assist trophies have a lot less reason. They have the biggest representation of anything other than a playable character in the game. Like, more than a boss, more than a Mii costume, more than a spirit, by far. They definitely have they're the most similar to a playable character, except you can't play as them. They have, you know, their own moves and stuff like that. So they're definitely the closest to a playable character that you can get without actually being one. So I definitely agree that they make the least amount of sense, but I would still love it. Just to have the rule broken. Just for Sakurai to be like, you guys, all you fan rules, that doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think they like to subvert our expectations for sure. So
oh, for sure, Nintendo always
yeah.
likes to subvert our expectations. They're masters of doing it.
Yeah, so it would be really nice if they were to do that at some point, but we'll have to sort of wait and see on that. I think I think at least I see the Mii costume one being broken for Rex and Pyra. I really see that one happening for this Fighters Pass, but I guess we'll see. I guess on this same like train of thought though, seeing Crash would be cool because Crash was like in the 90s used as anti-Nintendo marketing or to support Sony. So to see something like that at one point that was sort of like a character that seemed very anti-Nintendo, to see that in Smash Brothers seemed like something that Nintendo wouldn't have done in the past, but maybe now, well, now for sure it makes sense because Crash is no longer that anymore. I lost you.
Right,
I can't
there
hear
is,
you. Okay,
we got the Crash racing games.
We had a connection
Oh,
lapse, but I hear you now. Yeah.
Yeah, my internet. I'm still in the process of fixing it, so it's kind of iffy. But the Crash, we got the racing game, and we got the collection, don't we? The trilogy isn't on there. I believe so.
Crash Trilogy is on Switch.
Because we got this.
We haven't.
Yeah, we got
the new Crash game is not announced for Switch yet.
Right, that one we don't have, which I am just confused as to why. Like, I get that it's a more ambitious project than the trilogy, but I feel like you could still get that on the. I mean, you can get that on the Switch.
I think it could totally happen. I think it's gonna be one of those things where they'll announce it next year. Once they get this other one out.
Hopefully.
Yeah. But yeah. But I guess just since we've already been talking about Min Min and Smash, like those are the implications of that. But just at the character itself, how do you feel about Min Min? Like, do you like the character? What are your thoughts so far? Obviously, we haven't played it, but from what we've seen,
I feel like this is the character that probably plays the most like they actually do in their own game, which is surprising, because it's a 3D arena fighter. So you think it would play completely differently, but it looks like when you watch it, you're like, oh man, this really looks like ARMS. Just the way the physics are, everything about it's a little bit faster. The punches a little bit more peppier, like I thought they would be. I mean, we were talking about this last week. I said that I thought that it'd be a kind of long and mid range, which seems to be true, and that the punches would be faster because they're really really slow in ARMS. But it's ARMS. Those ARMS stretch out real far, and there's lots of different combinations, and it plays a lot like. Actually, I was pretty good with my predictions, I have to say, on how the character would play. So I'm happy with it. It looks like a really good representation of the series and the character.
Yeah, I think it's cool that you can change your arms on the fly too. So I appreciate that. I like her movement. That's her up B, and then also she can dive down. Like I can see myself. It seems a lot like Game & Watch, which I think is really cool. Plus the reach for sure. And then we have the dragon arm, which is awesome. So
Min Min is my favorite character in ARMS. She was always the one I like to play as the most, and her dragon arm was always super good. So I like that made it into Smash. Yeah,
for sure. I see Ryu Brian's asking, who is Rex and Pyra? What game series? Rex and Pyra are from Xenoblade Chronicles 2. So there's a lot of reasons why people are in support of them making the game. One, because, well, when the final Smash presentation came out before the game released, Sakurai talked about how he wanted to get Rex into the game, but due to time constraints, it did not happen. And we also didn't get an ARMS character, we got an ARMS Assist trophy. But consider this, in terms of the timeline, ARMS came out like half a year before Xenoblade Chronicles 2. So maybe half a year from now, we'll also see a Xenoblade 2 character, because we just got the ARMS character. I think it was mostly timing as to why Rex didn't make it in. So I can kind of see that happening now, especially as Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition just came out. The Xenoblade series is definitely really killing it. It doesn't seem like Nintendo's afraid to add in more first-party characters. They added ARMS. Like, if they add ARMS, an ARMS character, there's no reason for them to not add another Xenoblade character. You know what I mean? Like, in terms of like relevance and age, it's pretty much the same deal. The only argument you can make is that ARMS didn't have any character as playable from their series.
More relevant than ARMS.
Xenoblade is more relevant than ARMS, true. So I could definitely see it, but we'll have to see. There's other characters, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, Rex and Pyre.
That is a good point. You mentioned that ARMS didn't have a playable character before, while Xenoblade does. So
that's the one thing. A
little bit less reason to put him in, but
but I don't think
I feel like
that's
Xenoblade 2 was a really big deal,
barrier,
and Xenoblade's still a big deal. So yeah, it's definitely not enough of a barrier. I mean, we've got freaking Fire Emblem characters. There's no reason to say that previous characters can, the amount of characters representation definitely does not debunk putting a new character.
No, we got Fire Emblem.
It's just 100%. Like, Byleth destroyed that instantly. I mean, when Sakurai, I remember before we knew Byleth, Sakurai had said that he wanted to put, get a bunch of new universes or whatever wording he used into Smash, and people were like, oh, that means that it's only third party and it's only non-represented series. Well, then Byleth came along. Well, that destroyed that completely.
Yeah, and now we have ARMS, which had at least some representation with Spirits and the Springman Assist Trophy. Yeah. So, but now, I could definitely see it happening, but again, only time will really tell. But just be looking through the chat here, because there's several things you guys have stated that I think are definitely worth bringing up. Let's see here. Where was I? Saw something. Oh, the podcast dojo. I'm sure Crash 4 on Switch will happen. Hey, I want to highlight that again for a second, because I mentioned it earlier. We didn't get a Switch announcement for Crash. We just got a trailer for the new Crash game, which is cool that we haven't gotten any new Crash game in years, but I think that Crash trilogy really set things into motion, and that's led to this new Crash game. Give the same way that we sort of waited for a Switch reveal for the Crash trilogy. I think if we wait long enough, we will get that new Crash game, which, to make it relevant for what we're talking about now, I think, with all this Crash stuff going on, and obviously at least the Crash trilogy and the Crash racing games are on Switch, there's definitely a lot of reason to think that Crash Bandicoot could be a potential big third-party character added in Super Smash Bros.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people who want him. There seems to be a recent resurgence in his popularity, and I think it will be a good character to represent, 90s platforming and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like non-Nintendo, because obviously we have 90s representation for platforms from Nintendo, but third-party 90s platforming representation is something that we don't really think we have right now. So
yeah.
Plus, as you said before, the whole competitive nature between Sony and Nintendo back in the day with Crash, and now how Crash is embracing all systems, including Nintendo. It would be interesting to see Crash in Smash.
So, there's another thought that came to mind while I was watching the Smash presentation. Did you guys notice that there were several anime references throughout the presentation? At one point, Sakurai talked about if you Google Springman, a certain anime character comes to mind. I don't know who he was referring to. At first, I thought he was talking about Luffy from One Piece, but he said enemy, so I'm not sure. An anime enemy, but still, he was talking about anime there. And then, of course, there was the whole ramen thing, which I think a lot of it has to do with Min Min. But still, Naruto came to mind for me, even though it was probably more to do with Min Min. But then also, he literally mentioned Dragon Ball during the presentation. He talked about how they brought in the voice for Captain Falcon, who is also the voice for Vegeta from Dragon Ball. There is no need to mention that, but he did. And I thought that was really cool.
He has mentioned... I personally, I think it's just because he's a fan of anime.
Oh, I'm not trying to imply that an anime character is on the way.
Fans of anime.
But...
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It is... obviously, he's a big fan of anime and anime-like games.
Yeah.
Big fan of Xenoblade.
I think he's just a nerd like
Dragon
us.
Ball. He definitely is. He's 100% just a pure gamer, just pure nerd. And it's great. I love it.
Yeah.
So I obviously I don't think we should look too much into those, and I'm not saying you're saying that, but I know some people will.
Yeah.
I think that is the one rule that he's been crystal clear on. That's not going to happen. More than anything else, like a lot of the other rules that have been broken were either fan made or something he just said in like one interview one time. It was just kind of an excuse. This he's buckled down on over and over. That games, or characters from animes or movies are not happening. Iron Man, which I didn't even know people were asking about until I heard him say that.
There's a lot of the plus out there, for sure. Yeah, it's not so much about that. I think when Sakurai talks about these things, it's really just him trying to be more open with us and just kind of trying to have more of like a dialogue and a conversation, a natural conversation with us, and just talk about things that he's generally interested in, so we can have more of that, like, I guess, relationship with Sakurai, which I think is cool because a lot of people are big fans of Sakurai.
Oh, it's super awesome.
Seeing him have he's doing these presentations himself. He's a star. He's proven himself to be an entertainer.
Really is.
So I think that's really cool. And when he talks about these little things and just showing off this place, I think that's all what it really is. And it's just nice to see that the brains that are behind these games we love are people kind of like us, and that's cool.
It is super cool because a lot of companies that make it is cool because a lot of companies that make products that we enjoy and we use every day, a lot of the upper people like overseeing it aren't really actually interested in that product. They're just more business people, which is usually tends to lead to worse products overall. But Sakurai and a lot of the people up top, I mean, they're just known for being gamers. I mean, Reggie Fils-Aimé, he was a big person, at Nintendo that people just looked up to as actual, gamer who also worked at Nintendo. And I think there's a lot of that in Nintendo, and I think that's something that Nintendo really looks for when they hire people like that. So it's something I always enjoy about the company, because when you see like Xbox conferences and stuff, a lot of times or PlayStation conferences, a lot of times it's just people in suits. They don't feel relatable at all. They're just there to talk about selling you a game. And with Nintendo, you really see that these people play games all the time. I mean, I know we're going to talk about the No More Heroes 3.
I was thinking about bringing it up next. So
51. He's legit. He's legit. He's the legit nerd gamer, and it's awesome. And that video that he released definitely he's showing all the games he was playing on the Switch. Now he has a big backlog, and just relatable stuff that I feel like you don't get from other companies at all.
Yeah,
Nintendo's really the only company where you get the actual creators like talk about their personal life and just how much of a legit gamer they are.
Yeah, I think it's very cool, and it reminds me of the departed Iwata, and he would talk about how there's a quote, and I don't want to butcher the quote, so I'm gonna look it up right now. If I were to Google Iwata gamer first, it'll come up. I hope. Do you know what I'm referring to?
I'm not sure exactly what quote you're referring to.
Hold on.
I know that Iwata talked a lot about his personal gaming life and stuff. He was very much like Reggie and Miyamoto and Sakurai, things like that. People like that.
Now I'm pulling up a CNN article now that has supposedly memorable quotes from Iwata. Let me see here. I mean, I could just show you guys. There's a CNN article. Even a small amount of power can have a great effect when concentrated on a certain area. I've never been embarrassed that children have supported Nintendo. I'm proud of it. That's because children judge products based on instinct. I sincerely doubt employers who fear they may be laid off will be able to develop software trials that could impress people around the world. Please understand, I'm not trying to say technology is unimportant, but if we are just focusing on technology, we will not succeed. On my business card, I am a corporate president. In my mind, I am a game developer, but in my heart, I am a gamer. That was the one I was looking for specifically.
I do know that quote. That quote is amazing. I recognize that quote.
Yeah, I mean, so we've gone things like this from different Nintendo executive and developers over the years. Iwata was obviously a great one. I love some of the quotes he's had. So I'm just kind of looking at them now. Above all, video games are meant to just be one thing, for fun for everyone. Cute. There was this one here. Only a handful of characters can last for 1, 2, or 3 decades. I mean, I think that's also an interesting point. Nintendo has had franchises that have been relevant for years. You see with a lot of the other companies, their games don't necessarily go on for years, like decades. I mean, they sort of move on to the next thing afterwards. And it's cool sometimes when you see resurgences, like right now Crash is getting resurgence, but for a very long time, throughout most of the 2000s, Crash has been dead. So it's nice to see comebacks like that, but it's interesting to think that, you know, Nintendo has some franchises that have stayed relevant since their initial game. Mario and Link are the two that come to mind.
It's very nice,
obviously, but there's others. Mario Kart, Smash Brothers, Pokémon. These have been going on for years.
There's in PlayStation. I mean, I can think of like Ratchet and Clank. They're getting a resurgence, but for like the whole PlayStation 4, all they had was the remake. And it was just based off the movie, which was worse than the original game. Like, the game was better because it was, you know, it was a lot more polished compared to like the original version, because it didn't hold up as well. Obviously, it's a very early PS2 game, but they didn't really do anything with that series. Whereas Nintendo has all these series where they're relevant each and every generation.
Yeah.
Like, so I don't like it when one of my favorite PlayStation series just like, we're not going to do anything with it this gen. It's like, what? What do you mean?
They move on. They just move on. And people sort of like them for that, though. I have friends or just people that are like, they kind of like hate that Nintendo like reuses the same thing every time, except they don't, because when they give you a new Mario or a new Zelda, they reinvent those franchises. Those franchises are more like Breath of the Wild is more different than the previous 3D Zelda. Say when you let me rephrase. So you take Breath of the Wild and you compare it to, say, Twilight Princess or Skyward Sword. There is a great deal of differences there, and I would argue those differences are greater than most of the differences between one big Sony IP and another, even though they're two separate IPs. That makes sense. Like, take two big adventure games from Sony, and I would argue that Breath of the Wild is in a lot of ways more different. Like, let's look at, for example, Shadow of the Colossus Remastered versus Horizon Zero Dawn. There's a lot of differences, but you understand the point I'm trying to make here is that Breath of the Wild has so much different for it that there is no need for them to create a whole other sort of medieval style adventure game to replace Zelda. They reinvent what they have.
I agree. I wouldn't say that it's more different than their IPs compared to one another, because Sony actually has a pretty good diversity. I mean,
they are very diverse.
To Shadow of the Colossus compared to Horizon, compared to Uncharted, those are all like completely different. Compared to God of War, very, very, very different. Yeah. I'd say it's comparable, not more so.
That's more fair. You're right. That's a better way to word what that's what I basically mean. It's not like a slight against those franchises, which are also great, but yeah, for sure. But I want to move on, because I want to talk about No More Heroes before I forget. So, as you mentioned earlier, Suda51 came on. There was this video for this expo, this gaming expo, and basically just kind of talked a little bit about his backlog of games and things like that, and, you know, how gaming's important. And the entire time he was on a green screen, and his face was basically covering like basically how my face is sort of covering most of the camera, but there's still a background. He had a green screen for his background.
A good 1/3 of the screen is covered.
Yeah, and the middle part, so the most important part. But the footage in the background was No More Heroes 3. And at the very end, it showed Travis on a bike, like, wheel out.
Right.
So, yeah.
It looks good.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with what it was.
Obviously,
It's just, there wasn't much to see, but it was very clearly...
There.
it was very clearly a teaser for No More Heroes 3. It shows that No More Heroes 3 is already in playable form. It's reassuring that the game could very well be coming out this year. It is slated for 2020. I think that even though it may not be major, I think that alone is something right there. You know, it would look like what we would envision No More Heroes 3 to be. It's a third-person action game, and that's what it was. And it looked decent from what we saw. And I think we could be seeing an announcement fairly soon for it, like an actual release date.
That would be nice. I mean, we gotta start seeing stuff soon. Like,
we absolutely have to. Weird is weird because if you follow me, you know I've talked about it all the time. If you look at the amount of Nintendo published games that come out every single year, there is 20 plus every year. Nintendo needs to make announcements for different games all throughout the year, and we haven't had that many come out yet, and there is still half a year left. And once Paper Mario the Origami King comes out 3 weeks from now, because it's July 17th, today's like what, the 29th, the 28th. We have 3 weeks basically before Paper Mario the Origami King comes out. And we don't know what's coming after that. We know No More Heroes 3 is coming out later this year, but that's not a Nintendo published game. But you know, there could be some sort of deal between Suda 51 and Nintendo, and they have it come out during a particular time for sure. There's Bravely Default 2, which Square is working out, but Nintendo has a hand in publishing it, so that is slated for this year, and that's it. Obviously, there's rumors for Pikmin Deluxe and the Mario remasters and 3D World, and we know Bayonetta 3 and Breath of the Wild 2 are in development, as well as Metroid Prime 4, but we don't know when those are coming out. Point is,
and one of those, I'm pretty sure you can guess which one, is almost certainly not coming out anytime soon.
No, they're all coming out next month.
Obviously, I'm referring to Metroid Prime 4.
That's coming out really soon. Tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Just you wait.
Yeah.
But
and I mean, we haven't had a part in the year yet to where we don't know anything for the rest of the year. We knew Animal Crossing, you know, last year. We knew when that was going to come out. And before Animal Crossing released, we got the release date for Xenoblade. And before Xenoblade released, we got the release date for Paper Mario. So I'd assume sometime before Paper Mario releases, we have to see something, because Nintendo's not ever just been like, yeah, we have nothing, no release dates for anything. In the future.
Yeah,
like, it would just not happen.
So, I think you're right. I see Podcast Dojo brought up a really good point as well. He's saying, I have a feeling there's a direct coming soon. There has to. I think there's something there. So, a few different things, and I think I'm gonna have a full-scale video on this topic on Tuesday, assuming there's not an Nintendo Direct announced on Tuesday, which there might be. So keep that. If there is, then it's gonna be Nintendo Direct predictions. But if there isn't a Direct announced on Tuesday, it's gonna be tough. Because it's just whatever. It's a news thing. Because if you make a video about something and then they make an announcement, it changes everything. Don't worry about that. That's my problem.
It's the life of a YouTuber.
Yeah.
That's how it goes.
But either way, the point I want to get at here is that there was a Pokemon presentation, two back-to-back Pokemon presentations, and historically when we get news like that, a few weeks later, there could be an Nintendo Direct. We've seen that in the past. People have been bringing it up on Twitter. And Paper Mario is coming out really soon, and as you were saying, Brandon, right, there is no... we don't know about anything else. We just got the Smash DLC. We just got the Pokemon DLC. We're just getting, at the beginning of the month, we're also getting an Animal Crossing update. So we're getting all those DLC updates. There's not any other more news to expect from that for a while. Paper Mario is coming out really soon. After that, we have nothing else. But here's the real sticking point to all of that. It's that we've gotten news repeatedly throughout the year that Nintendo's 2020 plans have not been derailed. Their software lineup they have had planned for the year, this is still a go. They have not delayed it. It's still all set to happen. They've said, when these quotes have come out, they've said that is subject to change, but what we talked about a few months ago, there's a certain shareholders, the investors, they talked about how they still have a plan. Their plan is still right now, but that can change depending on the pandemic. But recently we got another report And they said the same thing now, like last week. So my point is, if they're still saying that now, it has to tell you that, hey, the plan at this point is that there's still games coming out. So given that Nintendo publishes over 20 games a year, given that we don't know about anything for August, given that historically there usually is some sort of big direct after a Pokemon presentation, it is sort of starting to, the evidence is starting to mount. It does seem like there should be an announcement really soon because there is nothing. So they have to announce something if there's nothing known. Now, they could conceivably wait until after Paper Mario the Origami King comes out. They could wait that long, but consider this.
I think it would have to be like right after.
when the Origami King, the first trailer come out? It was like May 14th? May 14th it came out. Okay. May. So May 14th is, let's see, we're in July, right? So that's basically
about 3 months.
No, less. May 14th, so 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks. The second would be 7 weeks, the 9th would be 10 weeks, the 16th would be 11 weeks. So, basically 11 weeks between when the game was announced and when it's coming out. That's almost 3 months. Almost. So, if we get a announcement after this, so let's say the game comes out on the 17th, and they don't announce any, they don't have a direct presentation until next week. So let's say it's a Wednesday direct, right? That's the 22nd. You count 1 week, the 29th of July. Then at this point, we are in what, August? Right, so yeah, so that's 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks. 6 weeks takes us into September. 6 weeks. So think about that for a second, guys. Paper Mario the Origami King already has a really short reveal to release window. 11 weeks. If they wait until after Paper Mario comes out, there's no way that they could have a reasonable reveal to release window for a major Nintendo game in August. So either A, it means there's nothing in August, or there's an announcement coming really soon. Or they're going to break all precedents and just announce something like a couple weeks before it comes out.
Right.
Paper Mario the Origami King was already setting a new precedent with an 11-week window.
I think the only thing I can see, or the thing that I think is the most chance of getting like a really, really short release, reveal to release window, is the Mario remasters. Since they're not new games, they're just remasters. It's just a collection. I could see that being the August game, maybe, or September.
Wait, say that again. I missed it. I just missed it.
The Mario remasters.
Right. Okay.
Oh, yeah. So those, I think, are the ones that have the most potential, because they're not new games. They don't need as much time in between reveal and release as other games. So I'm thinking that might be the next thing we see. I could see that maybe late August, early September release date for that.
Yeah, I think
I could definitely see there being nothing in August. I wouldn't be too surprised.
I could see us missing something major in August. That's totally possible. I think it would be bad, but totally possible. We didn't get anything major in February, right? So
no.
Could happen.
There's always a few months in the year where Nintendo doesn't really have anything big come out.
Right.
But August usually isn't one of them.
Yeah, but I think like it could be a situation where they could fill that up. It doesn't have to be something major in August, just something. I think the Mario Remasters could be September, but I want to point out maybe they could have No More Heroes 3 come out in August, or maybe they could have Bravely Default 2, which is already a pre-release announced game.
Default 2
we know it's slated for this year.
The one I think.
Go on.
I think Bravely Default 2 is a good August game.
Yeah.
We've seen other Square Enix RPGs come out in August. I believe, didn't Octopath Traveler come out in August? I think it did. But in either way, there's been August is the period where a lot of the smaller third-party games release, typically for Nintendo. Or the mid-size, the mid-tier, the B tier releases. So
Yeah. I mean, just look. Let's look
that's
at
kind of what I'm thinking.
Octopath Traveler came out. I want to say it came out July. July 2018. Yeah, it came out July 2018 on Nintendo Switch. It came out for Microsoft Windows on June 29th. Apparently, I didn't know that, but yeah, July 2018 is when it came out.
Yeah,
on the Switch. So, that late summer window, they could pull that off again, I think, with Bravely Default 2. But we don't have a release window for it, a release date for it, so I'm a little skeptical. But that could purely be because of the pandemic situation. They're waiting until they know for sure that it could come out. So, if it's coming out in August, now's about the time to, it's about time for us to get an announcement on that.
You gotta think, they have to get things ready for release. It's not like they can just be like, okay, we're ready, and release it the next day. They gotta print copies. They gotta get all of the rights and things sorted out. All of the even just putting even an eShop game, you gotta get things sorted out for that. So you gotta know when it releases, typically a month or two before. Once you plan a release date, it's gotta be a month or two after that. So right now, if there's gonna be something in August, it's gotta be, they have to know it's releasing at least by now. So, they should be able to reveal it pretty soon.
Yeah. So we got the reports from VentureBeat that there won't be an E3 Direct anytime soon, but that anytime soon was almost a month ago at this point. Before we even got those reports from VentureBeat, I was thinking that we would probably get the Direct in July. Maybe it happens in July. Maybe we don't have to wait until August for that to happen. Or another possibility is that we do get a big Direct in August, and that sort of helps to help people to survive from not having a game come out in August, just having a lot of news come out in August with some shadow drops. Like, maybe they could do that. I think either way, no matter how you spin it, within the next 2 months, for sure, we are getting some major Nintendo news, because we literally have to. There's no choice. So I'm expecting it sooner.
Yeah. If we don't get the news, pretty much 2020, holiday 2020, Nintendo canceled. If you're not getting it, it's how it feels, because you gotta announce stuff pretty soon. Because you gotta have build up.
And I want to point out that I am legitimately worried to make a video about when I think the next Nintendo Direct could happen and what's coming out in August, purely because that's my basic idea for the next video. That would come out on Tuesday. The problem with that is that I think that if I start working on it now, that announcement may happen the moment I drop that video. I am legitimately worried about even making that video, because then it would literally it would just not make any sense if Nintendo announces a Direct right then, So I have to be careful about that.
Right.
Maybe what I could do is I could have it double as a Direct predictions, but also I don't know what's actually gonna happen, so we'll see. But point is, I am concerned because I think for sure there's could be something happening as soon as next week in terms of a major Nintendo announcement. It could be longer, totally could be, but I think we were really close to getting it.
I think it would be sometime before Paper Mario. I think it has to be. They have to announce something before Paper Mario releases. I think that is I'm pretty confident in that. I'm 90% confident that something has to be announced, and I don't think it has to be a Direct. They could just come out with another trailer, kind of like what they did for Paper Mario, and be like, hey, this is the Mario Remastered Collection coming out August or September.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be
they
a
could
Direct.
just drop trailers.
True. It could definitely be that. I think it's also worth noting that when they announced Paper Mario the Origami King, that was May, in the middle of May. That was a couple of weeks before the release for Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. Some people may argue that Nintendo will wait to make an announcement until after Paper Mario to let us focus on Paper Mario. But they gave us the Paper Mario reveal a couple of weeks before Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. So it may make the most sense, a couple of weeks before Paper Mario comes out, they give us more information about what's to come. Either a big Nintendo Direct or just a trailer drop for a couple of games that are coming afterwards. Then that dies down after about a week or so. Then they hype things up and just talk all about Paper Mario for a week or so. That comes out, and then we worry about the next thing. That's literally what they did for Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. So I think the exact same thing could very well happen for Paper Mario. So the next week or two, I would be surprised if we do not get a Nintendo announcement about what's to come afterwards. Yeah.
I mean, in the next week or two, I think we definitely do. I don't think it's going to be the week of, because why would you wait that close to Paper Mario to announce it? I don't think so. You're going to want to focus on Paper Mario at that time. And I mean, right now we're kind of in that spot where Paper Mario was announced. We're like living in there, where this is the current time.
Yeah.
You know, so the clock's ticking on, you know, if they're gonna follow that. And I really don't see them just being like, yeah, Paper Mario came out, we'll eventually tell you what's coming next. Like, I definitely don't see that happening, where we're just like in the dark completely. I just don't think that would make any kind of sense.
Right. I think it's important to, I want to bring back up the point that if right now Nintendo's 2020 plan is still going according to plan, like they haven't delayed those software releases, don't you think it would be weird for Nintendo to not have something for August? You know, like, if there haven't been any delays, which is what they've been saying up to this point, they're saying there could be delays, but there hasn't been any yet. Like, wouldn't it be weird to plan for there to not be something in August? You know? I think we are getting news soon. Brandon, it seems like you agree entirely. So it's just kind of like, I mean, we'll see.
I don't know if it'll be a direct personally. I still am kind of 50-50 on whether we'll get a direct now or direct in like late August or September.
Right, yeah.
But I definitely think at least a trailer for something.
Right. The reports from VentureBeat were suggesting that we would get trailers like Paper Mario for the Mario remasters in 3D World and Pikmin. So that could be what's coming.
Those are what I'm more expecting.
Yeah.
That's what I'm more expecting to happen. But I mean, if you do wait till September, like imagine this. September, that's when we get the direct. That's when we know, you know, Breath of the Wild holiday. That's insanely close reveal to release for a Zelda game, because that would be around the same amount of time between Paper Mario's reveal.
Wait, say that again. When do you think maybe?
If we waited, I'm just saying, if we waited for something like Breath of the Wild, you know, to be in a direct in September, you got September, October, November. That's 3 months.
Yeah.
That is really, really, really close. Like, that's insane.
It is insane.
Like, I understand
that's why some people might think it won't
but Paper
happen.
Mario is not Zelda.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you there. But some people might argue that's why Zelda won't happen this year, because it hasn't been announced yet.
Right. And I'm not saying
but
it
here's
will
the thing,
happen
though.
this year.
Here's the thing, though. If you consider, I'm bringing this again, if Nintendo's plan has not changed, if their software plan for 2020 has not changed, that means they had a plan for 2020 before the pandemic. That plan is still in motion right now. They just haven't told us what it is. That means they still have something planned for the holidays. Something is coming.
Right.
We don't know what it is, but something is coming. So, even though they haven't told us, that something is still happening. Breath of the Wild 2, I think makes perfect sense, but, you know, we don't know because they haven't told us.
I think they're pretty good at managing expectations as well in those meetings. I mean, when they said no hardware for 2020, I mean, they just came up and straight up were like, you know, we've been hearing a lot of things about hardware and it's not happening. It's not happening. And
they don't want us to have false expectations.
Right. They've been doing a pretty good job lately of being like, guys, that's not happening. And I think they know that the current expectation is like Breath of the Wild 2020. So I feel like, obviously, I don't think they would want to come out and just
I might
be
argue
like disappointment.
I'm going to argue with you on that one. While I think it makes sense, we've talked about it ad nauseum so many times. There's so many reasons to think why it could. Because it's using the same engine. We got a story trailer at this point over a year ago. The game's been in development since 2017. There's a lot of reasons to think that, hey, it could totally happen. But I think a lot of people have this expectation that Zelda takes 4 or 5 years or more. So I don't really think that there's that much expectation for Zelda to come out this year. I think if Nintendo doesn't have it come out this year, there won't really be that much blowback.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even
hope it comes out this year. I think there's still a good chance it could. I'm simply saying that I don't think it's a situation where people are gonna be like super super pissed that it's not coming out this year.
That is true. I am at this point thinking in my mind that I think it'll probably come out next year. I think it'll be early next year. I think it'll be like March or something. But I'm kind of leaning towards it coming next year. Especially since I don't really see a major Nintendo Direct coming. I still think we're going to see a few trailers and we're going to have to wait till like September, in my opinion. And I don't think that they would
the big
announce
holiday game will be announced in a Nintendo Direct.
Yeah, I think it will.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's going to be Zelda.
Man, imagine if just like...
Unfortunately.
Alright. I'm doing something. Where am I going, Brandon? Do you know?
I don't.
You do know, though. Think about it. Think deep within your heart. What do we always refer to when we need to figure out what's happening for the rest of the year? What do we go back to? Every time.
The Nintendo Direct page?
The Nintendo Direct archive. We're bringing it back up, boys.
I did know. Oh.
Yeah. So, just looking at the Nintendo Direct archive again, I just kind of want to look at, like, the history of Pokemon presentations preceding Nintendo Directs. Now, this isn't to show us everything, because, for example, if you look at this page, there is no Pokemon Presents here, because Pokemon Presents are not Nintendo Directs, even though they're the same. It's the same thing. It just, they call this something different, which is dumb, but hey, whatever. This still gives us a rough idea of Nintendo presentation. Like, this doesn't even include Smash presentations.
Is the Byleth Smash? Yeah, none of the Smash presentations are there.
I wonder if, like, if I could see... No, if I go on YouTube, they have a whole bunch of random videos, so it's kind of harder to sort of see that. But, looking here, though, so there was a Pokemon Direct on January. There was no sort of news then. But if we look at last year, Pokemon Direct 2019, and then there was a Nintendo Direct right before that happened. That's an E3 thing. Pokemon Direct. Well, there was actually a Nintendo Direct before the Pokemon Direct early in 2019.
I do feel like it is more the precedent that...
Just thinking back...
It's kind of 50-50 on.
Yeah.
They're usually close, but it kind of swaps between which ones are first.
Yeah. I think the point is that those of the Pokemon presentations and the Smash presentations, I mean, not Smash, but Nintendo presentations, they usually are within a few weeks of each other. Not always, but yeah, I think it is definitely at least a consideration that it could perhaps hint that something else from Nintendo is going to happen.
Right.
I was saying, it makes sense for them to announce something soon because we know nothing.
Right. I mean, we got the Pokemon Direct early this year, and I think the only reason, in my opinion, that there wasn't a Nintendo Direct very soon was because that's when the pandemic really started to blow up, like right then.
Yeah.
And that's when I mean, it's pretty obvious that Direct was supposed to happen sooner. It was pretty obvious, in my opinion, that Direct was meant to happen a lot sooner than it did. So I think maybe that might have been, in a pre-COVID world, that would have probably been another example. And I think now that we're kind of, months into it, even though it's not like the pandemic's going away at all right now, in fact, it's getting worse. As far as them getting everything set up to work from home, that is getting better.
Right.
So
the pandemic's getting worse,
isn't really affecting anything.
Right. What's happening is that people are learning to coexist with these circumstances better. And that's the real difference here. It's not that the pandemic's getting better, it's just we're learning to live better with it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So,
back then, everything was up in the air. That was the very beginning stages of transitioning from the office to home. Now we've had that for several months, and it's, obviously it's not 100%. It's probably never going to be 100% until they go back to working in offices, but it's a lot better than it was.
Yeah, for sure. I see a super chat here. It's not relevant to the conversation at all, but check it out. Saturn Tubes, thank you very much for the super chat. Your hair is beautiful. Do you fear going bald? Thank you, and yes. I don't think I'm gonna go bald. My family has hair. I have thick hair, so I'm probably fine.
Yeah,
but
my family also all have really good hair on my mom and my dad's side. My my grandma and my grandpa on my mom's side both have hair, and my grandpa and my grandma has really good hair on my dad's side, and my actual grandfather, my blood grandfather, has hair, so I'm not worried about that.
Good. Yeah, we ain't going bald. Not too soon.
You seen this hair? Yeah. So much of it. It grows so fucking.
Yeah, but I'm in my late 20s, so it's a little different for me. So yeah.
True.
I'll
but
tell
you
you
don't seem
that.
to have any sort of receding hairline or anything.
I think it's actually
seems good.
It's receded a little, but it's mainly because I've had a history of not combing my hair. I've been combing my hair more recently, and like the minor receding that has happened, I've seen the hair growth come back.
This.
So I'm good.
I just do this.
Yeah.
I just use my hands because I'm lazy. And
Yeah.
I don't like how my hair looks combed. It's too like neat and like, you know, like the lines you get when you comb your hair. I don't like it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Comb your hair, guys. It helps. Stimulate the hair follicles. Yeah. But just checking with the chat here, because I think we've pretty much covered everything. I don't think we've missed anything. We talked about Nintendo moving away from mobile. We talked about how Nintendo's 2020 plans still seem to be intact. We talked about how we don't know about the August game. There's a couple other things we didn't mention. There's the Animal Crossing update. You can now swim in the water. I'm not playing that much Animal Crossing right now, but I'll tell you, I do want to at least put get on it just to swim around. What?
Did you do the bug off? There was a bug off yesterday.
No, I don't play. I don't really play. I don't really.
It was good.
Yep.
It was fun. See, the way I play Animal Crossing is I don't do it like some people do, where they play it every day for a little bit. I can't do that. When I play video games, I have to play for several hours. I have to feel like I got something accomplished. Otherwise, I'll burn out and I'll quit. Because if I don't feel like I'm getting something done, I feel like I could get something done in doing something else. So I have to play for several hours. So what I do for Animal Crossing is I play and then I stop playing for 4 weeks, and then there's just updates galore, new fish, new bugs. I can go and I can play for 8 hours and be constantly doing new content. Like yesterday, I played 8 hours straight, and I probably put like 40 new things in my museum. I upgraded my house. I got a new villager in my town. I made 2 parks in my island. So yeah, that's how I play Animal Crossing. Is I drop it for a week or 2, and then I come back and I just hammer out all the new content.
Yeah, I don't do that. I'm just worried about getting through Xenoblade right now. I still haven't gone to Future Connected,
25 hours into the game.
How many?
I have 25 hours.
I have 40.
I'm still like balancing between Xenoblade, Animal Crossing, Life, and I got a couple of PC games I'm playing, like Doom Eternal, so I'm not really focused on one game right now. But Xenoblade is kind of the same way. I'll get to it and I'll hammer out a good 8 hours, and then I'll do some other stuff and I'll get back to it, because I love Xenoblade, but I have other things I gotta get done too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this past week I haven't been able to play it that much, just because, like I said, I was on a trip. I didn't have that much time. So, there's that. Yeah. I will say that I played a little bit of Pokemon Snap for my Pokemon Snap video that I published yesterday.
Nice.
So check that out. I was just talking about like different things that we can maybe see change and add to new Pokemon Snap. Thanks. So, it was fun playing Pokemon Snap. Like, I love Pokemon Snap because it is cool to just, like, explore that world, try and find new Pokemon, think of different ways to see what else could be there. There's, like, some mystery behind it. At the same time, it's almost like you're going through an expedition in the wild looking for secret hidden animals. And I just think that's super cool. So, new Pokemon Snap.
And I think the new one just is going to be way better. Yeah,
it's stunning.
It's going to be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, watching your video, I definitely noticed a lot more details in the trailer, both graphically and like gameplay. Like the Pokemon are just so much more animated when you compare them to the original Pokemon Snap.
Yeah,
they are a lot more. Their animations are a lot more fluid. They're doing a lot more diverse things. There's a lot more of them. They kind of like animals in real life, a lot of them are pack animals. Like a lot of animals travel in packs, which was kind of a thing in Pokemon Snap, but I mean, due to hardware limitations,
right, they could only have so many Pokemon
one or
on
two
screen. Right.
Yeah, now it's like there's 5, 6, sometimes like 7 Pokemon traveling.
Like imagine if you run into like a Golbat flock. Like that's something that you could legitimately see like 20 Golbats on screen in Pokemon Snap on Switch. Like that could be a scene. I see that happening. I think there's so much more potential with that game. Some people have suggested it could come out in 2020, but given that they didn't give us a specific release date for it, I do not expect it this year.
Yeah, I feel like they would have said 2020.
Yeah. They would have told us the year. The trailer
they had the whole everything's in development.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were underneath the whole trailer. They said, game in development doesn't represent final game or whatever. And then they had a whole separate scene saying that the game was still in development. So most companies don't do, even for projects that are kind of far off. So that was kind of like, they really want to let you know that, like, guys, this is still working on this.
Right, and that's a good point.
Which was surprising because it looked really good and really polished.
Yeah, but I think because a lot of the things that Pokemon talk about, like there is a short release from there. Usually with Pokemon Company, there's a very short reveal to release window. So I think for a new Pokemon Snap, it was important for them to make it clear that this game is going to be a little bit of a ways off. I'm not saying we're going to have to wait over a year. I think we don't have to wait that long.
Right, it'll probably be next year.
Yeah, that's really the point here. It's not a 2020 game. It's a 2020
feel it might
game.
be... Right, I feel it might be similar to Talon, in the way that it was announced, and then we had to wait a whole, year, I think, or more than a year to get that game.
Maybe.
So I feel like it might be a similar situation.
That game's gonna sell really well, dude. It's gonna sell really well.
Pokemon Snap,
Yeah, for sure. So, looking here in the chat, I see that Computer Robots added me, well, the both of us. So, when do you guys predict Nintendo is going to announce the reveal trailer and the release date for the next fighter? So, basically, I think that would happen in a Nintendo Direct. I do not know when that next Nintendo Direct is. So, either I don't expect the Nintendo Direct to happen this week and for them to have another Smash reveal then.
No.
If
they
possible.
Do a Direct this week, there's not going to be another Smash reveal. Because we're looking at a much more spread out timeline. We're just now getting Min tomorrow. There's no way that a presentation next week they're going to announce a new fighter. That's just not going to happen. I don't think it's going to be another couple months before we get another announcement.
Yeah, so
I think if there's a September Direct, I think that's like the earliest they would announce it.
Yes, if there's a Nintendo Direct,
I think it might be like October.
I think the Nintendo Direct's going to happen either like late August or September. And if it happens around
I meant the fighter specifically.
Oh, right.
Released till October.
Well, my thinking is that if there is a Nintendo Direct by that point, they can reveal the next character. Now, it may not be like a big CGI trailer with gameplay. It could be something simple, like what they did in the Nintendo Direct Mini, or what they did with Joker, for example, where they don't show us gameplay of the character, but they say, hey, this is where the character's coming from. They give us an idea of that character, and that's it. So that I could see happening sooner than... I mean, if it's just that, it could maybe happen in a Nintendo Direct within the next couple weeks, I think. Cause they know who the next character is, but I'm expecting a little bit later.
I really don't think it would happen. Yeah, I really don't see them showing it off when they have a more... I mean, that'd be even quicker than what they did for the characters in the first Fighters Pass, and that was a more condensed pass. So I don't see that happening.
Yeah. I see a question from Birdman. Do you think we'll get another Breath of the Wild 2 trailer this year or early next year? I think that whenever we get... this year. Yeah, I agree. I think whenever we get that next Nintendo Direct, when we finally get that not a Nintendo Direct Mini, just to be clear, so if they announce another Nintendo Direct Mini, no. But if they announce a Nintendo Direct, I think that during then, even if the game's not coming out this year, that's when we'll get a trailer for Breath of the Wild 2. We will get an update on that game, regardless if there's another mainline Nintendo Direct. And I also expect that to be when we get the next Smash reveal. So I guess when I think of it in that way, maybe next week is not when that big next Nintendo Direct happens, but I still think there's an announcement right around the corner. Maybe it just won't be a Direct.
I think if Breath of the Wild is going to come out this year, then there needs to be a major Nintendo Direct in the next couple of weeks, and they have to announce the reveal of Breath of the Wild 2. I think if that doesn't happen, if we see it in like September, then I think it is most likely delayed till early, spring 2021. But I mean, they have to show it off very soon if it is coming out this year, because they're not going to have, as I said before, if they wait till September, that's a similar situation to what we had for Paper Mario, and that was already like insanely close, and that's Paper Mario. It's not the next mainline Zelda game. Like, that's one of the biggest games that they can come out with. Like, a mainline Zelda game is one of their biggest.
I lost you. Oh no, Brandon, I can't hear you at all.
Announced that 3 months before it releases.
So I lost you. Your connection got lost again. What were you saying?
I wasn't talking.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
I was waiting for my internet to shake out.
Oh, what were you trying to say?
Sorry, I was just waiting for. I actually wasn't speaking. I was waiting to see. So what I was trying to say was, as I was saying earlier, if it is like a September Direct and that's when they announce Zelda, I don't think it's gonna come out till like spring 2021. I think if it's gonna come out this year, they're gonna announce it very soon. And I think it's gonna be there's gotta be like a major July Nintendo Direct where they announce it. Because I don't think it's gonna be a Paper Mario situation, because that was already like, whoa.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm losing you a little bit, Brandon, so I can't hear everything you're saying right now.
New Paper Mario game in 3 months? That's insane. Like, I think it was mainland. Let me try. Okay, that might be a better connection. It switched over to a slower Wi-Fi.
Oh,
is that better?
Yeah. So what were you trying to tell me?
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, if Breath of the Wild is coming out this year, we're gonna see a major Nintendo Direct soon, and that's when they're gonna reveal it. Because I don't think they're gonna wait till like September to announce it, because I don't think it's gonna be a Paper Mario situation, because Zelda is way, way bigger than Paper Mario, and Paper Mario was already cutting it close.
I get what you're saying, but I think they have the Nintendo Direct in August, and that could still happen.
August might happen.
Yeah.
But even then, that's cutting it a bit close, in my opinion.
Yeah. I see what you're saying.
And we still need like information this month, so.
Yeah, I think either way we're getting information. Just the question is it going to be a couple trailer drops, or is it just going to be a Nintendo Direct? It's kind of hard to say for me right now.
I could see a Nintendo Direct Mini coming out this month.
Not another one. No.
I think, minis are still pretty good amounts of information.
Yeah, I mean, they are. I just think it's... I just want a Nintendo Direct, bro.
I feel you.
Yeah. So there's a couple of things I want to get into the chat. I saw some people bringing up some pretty interesting things about Pokemon Snap. The podcast dojo, I remember all the lies I was told about Pokemon Snap, like where to find Venusaur and Blastoise. Hint, they're not there. Jake Miller, I put 90 hours into Xeno and beat the Future Connected. Not gonna lie, Future Connected was rough. I haven't gone there yet. Let's see here. Jake Miller, I was told Lugia was in Pokemon Snap for years. No, but maybe in this new one. Let's see here. Jake Miller, imagine a Pokemon Snap theme park ride in Nintendo World. That would be so cool. Like if they had like little camera attachments attached to the ride, you can kind of, it was almost like a virtual shooting Pokemon Snap thing, but like with actual wildlife and stuff. That would be just amazing.
That would be great.
Let's see here. Darcy, hey Andres, I'm not sure if you've mentioned it, but what are you up to on Xenoblade? So right now I am in the Fallen Hand.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
I thought it was called the Fallen Arm.
Could be. That's where I'm at. I fell off a fortress from McConus. That's where I'm at. And I've met a certain friend, and we're exploring the place together. Yes.
I am... I just made it, not just made it to Earthsea. I'm a few hours into that. But right now, I have not gone to the Trial of the Tomb yet. It's like right about to happen. But that's kind of where I am.
Yeah, I spent a good amount of time doing side quests.
Yeah, that's
I want to
what
go.
I've
I've gone back and done side quests. I want to finish Colony 6. I want to do all of that. I found like this secret tomb on the way to the snow area through the jungle. Not the main quest you're referring to by the Erisea. There's like this secret like temple place. It's a side quest thing, and I haven't.
Is it the one with the giants? Is it the?
I don't know. I haven't been able to get in because it's just like there's just like a giant rock slab, and I don't have a key for it. So I want to figure that out at some point.
Okay.
Yeah, I might have to just go back to the jungle and just do a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah. Captain Rex is asking, is this the end of the podcast? The podcast, yeah. The podcast is ending soon. We're pretty much done. What else is there to talk about? We talk about the. That's it. I can't think of anything else off the top of my head. You got anything, Brandon?
No, I think we covered it pretty well.
I'll talk one more thing. So I put out a video this week talking about the potential of a new F-Zero game. So the reason I talked about it was because during the Smash presentation, Captain Falcon had quite a bit of emphasis in the cutscene. I thought he was really cool. They even had some new voice work done for him, which apparently wasn't done since the N64 days. It's a long time, and they brought him in now. So I got the brain sort of, churned a little bit, and there was some hope there. And I know I'm not the only one. People were thinking, well, if they brought in this new voice actor and they have Captain Falcon in a cutscene for a Smash presentation, does that perhaps suggest that a F-Zero game is around the corner? Captain Falcon's the main character for F-Zero. And, I mean, the answer is probably, maybe, but probably not. Mainly because it's not the first time we've seen Captain Falcon in a Smash reveal trailer. He's just a cool character to have in there. He's one of the originals, and people love him as a character.
Yeah.
Not to mention, even though there have been times when Nintendo has, we've seen like Smash trailers, and in those Smash trailers we've seen other characters and like tease things. For example, Luigi with Simon Belmont and Richter Belmont, like they literally showed new plunger mechanics for Luigi, and we saw that in Smash. We also saw that in Luigi's Mansion 3. That was certainly a teaser, but I think the difference is that one showed mechanics, like actual gameplay changes, and that was also for the character itself, which also implied changes from a game that was in the works. Captain Falcon was already in the game. There's nothing to show off there, and they didn't show anything in relation to F-Zero. So I don't think for sure it means that there's something coming, but I also am going to say that there's still a chance that they could have been using that to tease F-Zero. But either way, to finish up my point, I think while there may not be an F-Zero for sure being teased there, given that the Nintendo Switch is going to have a longer life cycle, that Nintendo's focusing all of their development efforts on the Switch, not two different consoles, there's way more opportunity for different Nintendo franchises that don't get that much attention to get that attention on Switch, like F-Zero.
Yeah. I think there is. Fingers crossed, yeah, for sure. I think
I lost you again. I can't hear you. Cannot hear you at all. Brandon, you're gone.
There we go. Maybe. Hopefully. Better?
Yeah.
Worse? Yes?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
Anyways, I think you pointed out a good point with the fact that they didn't show off any new mechanics.
Yeah, so I'm not banking on it, but I am at least hopeful that we could see an F-Zero at some point on the Switch's life cycle. So we will see. But I see there's a couple more questions here from Birdman, so I'll check those out and then we'll call it a night. So Birdman added me. If Breath of the Wild 2 releases next year, then will there be a new model of the Switch next year? I don't think those could necessarily. I don't think they'll have to be connected. I think Breath of the Wild 2 could come out this year, and a new Switch model will come out next year. I don't think that they're necessarily correlated. But I'll say that whatever, I do think for sure a Switch Pro is probably coming out. There's something coming out next year for a Switch revision. That I believe. We've already seen stuff in the actual code for the Switch operating system suggesting there's other Switch models in the works. I think we'll see something from that next year. So I think that's happening regardless. But will there be something in terms of Breath of the Wild 2 connected to it? Hard to say. I think if it's like a Switch Pro, which actually improves the performance of different games, games like Breath of the Wild 2 will definitely look and run better on it. I think, though, that if there is like a Switch Pro, whatever major Nintendo game is coming out around that time, they will use it to market each other. So say Metroid Prime 4 is coming out next year, they may use a Switch Pro in conjunction with Metroid Prime 4 to really show off the full powers of the Switch Pro, but also show off how Metroid Prime 4 is. And if Breath of the Wild 2 is held off until next year, maybe they do it for that. That's totally possible as well. But I don't think that one or the other are necessarily connected. I think if the timing works out, they will market them together. If not, then no.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think that they seem to be planning those to be coming out at the same time.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the biggest reason we thought there was going to be a revision this year was because we thought maybe they would try to position it against the next gen consoles, but that doesn't seem to be happening. So, and Breath of the Wild as well I don't think it's going to be a holiday next year, and I don't see like a Switch revision coming out like March. I mean, it could.
I think it's a little too early.
But it's not what I...
Yeah, I mean, so your point is that Breath of the Wild 2 will likely won't come out, be that much later. Like, if it comes out, or like, that's the 4-year anniversary, why would Switch Pro come out that soon? But you could be right. I could see it coming out then, but then if it came out in March, why didn't they just have it come out for the holidays? So I do think it makes more sense for it to come out later in the year. So I pretty much agree with you there. And Jake Miller, with F-Zero difficulty, I'm not sure people will gravitate to the challenge today. So I think that is actually a big reason why F-Zero GX has not happened, because even though I think that's a big part of what F-Zero should be, very challenging, I think it does make it harder to get into it for a lot of people. But there's a very simple answer to this. You just have a casual mode. It's that simple. Or you make the normal mode a little easier, but you still have like that hardcore aspect for those. Like you have experienced players and just newbies. That like it's fine. It's not a hard thing to implement. So I think by doing that, they could still make it appealing to a wider audience. So I wouldn't be too concerned about that. Especially nowadays, they're way more aware of those things. Back in the early 2000s, they were not. There's a casual mode in like every game nowadays.
Yeah. No, I do think that developers have been kind of moving away from difficulty settings, like easy, hard, medium. Like usually it's like the normal mode and casual. So you either play the normal mode or you play the super casual version, which I'm not a big fan of. I wish they would go back to the days of like being able to have more changes for your difficulty. Because now it's just kind of like, and a lot of don't even. There's some that don't even have really like casual modes.
Yeah. I mean, it's a mix, but I'll say that for F-Zero, because it's more of an arcade style, if they maintain that arcade style, they could still have difficulties. I think that's fine. But also, it could be kind of like, if there is no difficulty, it's just more, they have a somewhat overall easier experience than F-Zero GX for the normal mode, but there are places or things you can do that are very challenging still. And I think that's how you could balance it out and then have a casual mode. That's something they can maybe do instead, which is how a lot of games are, like you said, Brandon. I see one more question here.
I'm just not a big fan of...
Go on. You're not a big fan?
Personally, I'm not a fan of games... I'm not a fan of games that have the main story be really easy, but they have challenging stuff you could do if you did. I don't like that. I want the main story to be able to like change my difficulty to what I want it to be.
I get what you're saying. I think F-Zero needs to be the Dark Souls for racing games. It's just that simple. It's hard. That's it. It is hard. But having a casual mode I think is fine as well. So we'll see. And I think like what I have in mind in terms of games that are not too hard, but it kind of depending on where you go, it's harder. Take Breath of the Wild. The way that game is, there are parts that are really hard, but you can kind of run away from most of your stuff and just slowly get built up power, and then the game's kind of easy. It depends how you play it. And the same applies for Super Mario Odyssey. There are a lot of moons that are really easy, but if you want to find those extra secret moons, they are very challenging. So I think there is room to do something like that, but for a racing game, it's a little different, which is why I think it's more likely they'll just have varying difficulties. And I think that'll be fine. Captain Rex added me. Do you think?
It's definitely hard to do it.
Yeah. Captain Rex said or asked, "Do you think it will be DLCs in new Pokemon Snap?" Yes. Why not? That's a great way to implement more areas and more Pokemon. Given that it's a spin-off, they may not, but I think new Pokemon Snap is going to be a big deal. I think it's going to sell a lot, and I think it's going to make sense to add more content for new Pokemon Snap. That's just my take. I want more content for new Pokemon Snap. I will definitely do that. What do you think, Brandon?
I feel like they just now kind of embraced DLC for their mainline games, so I'm not sure.
Well, Namco Bandai. I'll say that Pokémon Tournament was an interesting situation.
True.
Because
it's a fighting game though, and those are kind of expected to have DLC.
True.
These days.
True.
I feel like Pokemon Snap might just be a complete experience, to be honest.
We'll see. We'll see. I think they could implement it, and it would be as simple as adding other areas with new Pokemon. It's that simple. Beverly added me. I think I might main Min, and I'm hoping the next Smash DLC newcomer is Geno or Crash Bandicoot because it's a new game for Crash 4. Yeah, I'm with you. I want Geno and Crash. I think they both make sense, and I think they could happen. And I'm super excited to play as Min tomorrow. So, with that though, guys, I'm going to bid you all a good night. I hope you guys enjoyed the discussion. Please leave a like. Check out Brandon's channel. It is linked in the description below. Share the podcast. Check out our content. There will be stuff coming, so stay tuned.
I actually, as an update, once I get my internet fixed, which is as soon as I get the money to fix it, I plan on doing streams again, so yeah.
On Twitch or YouTube?
I'm not sure yet. I have to see what my audience wants. I would like to do it on
Mixer. I think Mixer's going down. Just for
it is. They already announced that they're canceling next month. But I'm not sure. I personally prefer Twitch for streams. If you're like mostly doing streams, but I don't know. People on YouTube might want it. I might be able to find a way to do both. But in my experience, it's very hard to keep up with 2 chats and make sure everything's working well on both services. It's just really a pain. So I really like just having that one dedicated. So I might just, try to build up Twitch because it just is a better streaming platform overall.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I have been thinking about trying to stream games again myself. It's just hard with my schedule and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm thinking if I do it, I would try and do it like at least one day a week. So maybe I'm thinking like Wednesday nights I could try streaming. So stay tuned. There may be an announcement for a stream this week. We'll see. Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, but so yeah, you guys stay tuned to the both of us. Brandon, I'm looking forward to you streaming again. That's gonna be cool to see. But that's all for now, guys. Take care. See you later.
Bye, guys.